Hello, Josef Bartz here again for the Lebenspraxis Podcast, where we explore practicing living a life of purpose, actions, and decisions, and ask, what is the good life? All right, guys, in this episode, we have a bit of a mix, actually, of things I want to talk about. There will be practical things, but there will be also a bit less practical things, or in a sense, I mean, everything is sort of practical, I would say, if you can make it practical. But I would say for some of the things that I'm talking about, it seems a bit more theoretical. But I want to start with a bit of story time, actually. And I want to talk about the notion of Carpe Diem, so seize the day. Many know it from the wonderful movie Dead Poets Society. And the first notion of this Carpe Diem concept apparently is in the epic of Gilgamesh. The Gilgamesh epic is known to be, I think, the oldest still existing epic. It is around 4,000 or 3,500 years old, if I'm informed correctly. And the epic is about death. That's its main topic. Death and friendship, I would say, are the two main topic, and also morals are in there as well. But the story is this, that the king Gilgamesh, he gets a friend, a very good friend, that is made by the gods, and they are like brothers. And then his friend Enkidu dies at the hand of the gods, and from that moment on, Gilgamesh becomes very aware of his own mortality. Although Gilgamesh is said to be partly god, partly human, so it's not even fully clear if is he immortal or is he not immortal, and also for the gods it's not really clear. But seeing his friend Enkidu on the deathbed and seeing how a maggot after his death is coming out of his nose creates a lot of fear from death in him, and he is searching for immortality. He's then traveling to the end of the world to meet Utanapishti, and Utanapishti is in the Gilgamesh epic. He's the first Noah. Yeah, so Noah from the Bible, who built the how do you say, the ark in English? The ark. This exact story of the ark is in the Gilgamesh epic, is included in there. So it's not new in the Bible. It is taken, it is copied, and most likely from the Gilgamesh epic, although I think this is a reoccurring thing, this idea of the ark and the flood, the great flood, and so on. But anyway, so the Noah of Gilgamesh, Utanapishti, he was granted immortality by the gods because he was saving humankind. And Gilgamesh is searching for him, goes to the end of the world. He's ending up at an ocean, and the ocean is what is, if you go over this ocean, you come to the island where Utanapishti lives. And at this ocean, there is a tavern, do I say it like this? Tavern, yeah. And the tavern keeper is called Siduri, a woman called Siduri. She's also a god. And Gilgamesh approaches her and tells her his story about why he's here and why he's searching for Uttanapishti. And then in one version of the Epic of Gilgamesh, there are many versions. There's the standard version where this block that I now tell you is not included. It's taken out, but it's in a different version called old Babylonian version, I think it's called. It is included. And I'm reading the translation of Andrew George. Okay, so Gilgamesh tells her his story, and she answers this. O Gilgamesh, where are you wandering? The life that you seek you will never find. When the gods created mankind, death they dispensed to mankind. Life they kept for themselves. But you, Gilgamesh, let your belly be full. Enjoy yourself always, by day and by night. Make merry each day. Dance and play day and night. Let your clothes be clean. Let your head be washed. May you bathe in water. Gaze on the child who holds your hand. Let a wife enjoy your repeated embrace. And this is apparently the first notion of this concept of Carpe Diem, to seize the day. Live your day fully. Don't be afraid of death and search for immortality. And in that sense, work for the life that you have when you retire, which is our modern anti-Carpe Diem thing that we live. I found it very interesting that 4,000 years ago there was already this notion of Carpe Diem. So this is why I wanted to read this out for you. In the last episode, we talked about that busyness is not a virtue. And today I want to talk about hastiness a bit also. I think hastiness and busyness are very connected to each other. Hastiness is what creates mistakes. Hastiness is what creates injuries. And hastiness is very common nowadays, yeah? Everything needs to be quick. Everything is very cramped. We have little time, also because we are so busy. When you see older people, they sometimes have this unhastiness, and I talked about this in one episode already, about the old man in the ferry that approached, that went to his car as the last one, and so on. Is I think in episode number 5, if I'm not mistaken. So in a sense, the people that are not hasty, they stand out. Look on my YouTube channel for the slow walking practice. This is a practice in reducing your own hastiness, because this is where it already starts. Already how you walk is a hastiness, is a hasty thing. And I often do my own revolt against this with just walking slowly. Even if I have a goal, not just when I stroll around, but when I walk somewhere, I just walk slowly. Obviously, not always possible. Not always I have the time, yeah. But if possible, I do it. And there's this things of saying sitting is the new smoking and blah, blah, blah. And this and that is the new smoking. So my own take on this is hastiness is the new smoking. So to reduce hastiness, to take your time, to give the things the time that it needs. That's a practice, and that I would say is part of the Lebenspraxis as well. This can be an underlying practice for every one of us. To not be hasty, but have the speed with the things that is appropriate. Slow when it's appropriate, but obviously also fast when it's appropriate. Sometimes you need to be fast and quick and on fire. Yeah, and then other times it's good to be slow. A friend of mine, we recently built something with from wood, he and me, and he said, in Russia, you say, measure 7 times, cut 1 time. I like this, yeah? This is what I meant. Hastiness is creating mistakes. Yeah. Oh no, quick, and now this and da-da-da. And suddenly you realize, oh, you cut on the wrong side. This is what older craftsmen are sometimes doing very well. You see them taking their time, looking again. Is this correct what I'm doing? Another area where people show hastiness is communication, especially communication through the internet with email, instant messaging, and so on and so forth. I put the following sentence on my website on the contact page. Please note, I don't check my email every day. Therefore, it often takes me a few days to answer. Thank you for your understanding. And this was important that I put it there some years ago, because before that, people were, I don't know what they were getting, but they were getting a bit restless or something like this, because some were already writing me a second email or trying to contact me through other mediums like Facebook if I didn't reply to them within 6 hours. And quite regularly, I got a second email after 24 hours and people asking me if I received the email and so on, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, but since I put this note there on my contact page, this got much more, that basically doesn't happen anymore. People are patient now. They know, this is not like contacting, the support of Amazon where they directly call you back or something like this. This is a bit of a different game here. And I feel very happy that with the people I interact with on a daily basis, is also very clear that there's no need to answer directly. If you have your things that you're doing and you have no time, then don't answer. No one is pushing each other, and I feel with the people I interact with on a daily basis, is a very healthy way of communicating. But on the other hand, I know that people can be quite, have some anxiety and feel they need to reply immediately. There's this thing on WhatsApp and the other messengers like Signal maybe also has it, that it shows you when the other one received the message. Like it shows you, okay, the message has successfully been sent, then the message has successfully been received by the other person, and then there is this thing that the other person has read the message. And this is a terrible thing. But fortunately, you can switch this off. For sure, you can switch it off on WhatsApp. I'm using Signal also. I'm not 100% sure if you can switch it off. If you can switch it off, I definitely did it. This was also quite a game changer, because before that, you have the thing that people write something to you and then they can basically see that you saw their message but haven't replied it yet. And this can create a bit of a weird situation, no? People should not know when you have read their messages. It's a super weird social dynamic. Yeah, this is a terrible function of these messengers that is playing with people's anxiety, should be deleted out of these things. But fortunately, you can switch it off, at least in WhatsApp and Signal. As I said, I'm not sure at the moment, but I think it's also possible. And maybe this anxiety thing, that's the thing. Like people write and then they have anxiety. Okay, I hope I get a reply, and then I need to read the reply quickly and blah 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 blah. Yeah, okay, relax. Reply will come. If reply doesn't come, whatever. Obviously, there are things where you need to get a reply. Yeah, if it's like your, I don't know, Ministry of Finance or something like this. But other things, you receive a reply or you receive no reply. Like with friends, you ask them, do you want to meet me tomorrow? And they don't reply. Okay, they don't reply. They have other things to do. They have no time to answer and no time. Of course, people have always time, but focus. Yeah. And like when I say time, you have to hear the word focus. They have their focus somewhere else at the moment, and the focus is not in replying to messages. And in that way, in that sense, I think it's also very important not to look too much into your messages. And I think this also, that's what everyone that talks about focus is talking about. That's one of the first things to address in that sense. How often do you check your email account? How often do you check your phone? On the iPhone, there's a nice function. There is on all Apple things. I don't know if this is also available on Windows and Android and so on. I guess it must be, yeah. Or if not, it's probably some third-party apps can implement this. So you can check your screen time on all Apple devices. Okay, that's sort of interesting. Yeah, but the actual more interesting thing, I think, is the activations. You can check how many activations do you have. And this is especially interesting for your phone. Yeah, so if you see, okay, today I have, let's say, something quite high, like 100 activations. Yeah, 100 times you activated your phone in any way. Maybe it was just to look at the clock. Doesn't matter. Yeah, maybe there was other things, but definitely your attention went there to your phone of what you're doing. And is this especially a problem when people don't know how to set up their phone properly? So if the phone is not set up properly, you will, for example, get a lot of notifications. So every time you take your phone into your hand, and you just want to look at the time because you have no watch, you have no gym boss, yeah, a device that is obviously crucial in life. That's not an advertisement. That's just the truth. So you look at the clock, and then you see all these notifications like, yeah, Hans Wurst has written to you, and there's a new YouTube. Joseph posted a new YouTube video. I'm subscribed to his channel, and blah 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 blah. Switch all the notifications off. All the notifications need to be switched off. Yeah, there can be some. There can be some exceptions about notifications. I'm thinking what my exceptions are, but basically I have almost zero exceptions. I think I have an exception for the app that tells me the TAN for my banking. Yeah, this if I get this to send someone money, then I allow the app on my phone to notify me, because this is then an immediate thing. Yeah, that's basically the one of the only exception that I have on my phone of things that can notify me. Anyway, my phone is 24/7 on the function do not disturb. So there I don't get any notifications. It only a few people can call me, people that are in my favorite list. It's around 20 people currently. And if I know I get a call from someone, yeah, if I made a date for calling and the person will call me, I will put the person into the list, blah, 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 blah. But I receive no calls from weird, advertisers and yeah. Do you also guys have this? Like sometimes a number calls you like again and again for weeks. I think maybe sometimes it's just my phone contract guys, and they want to sell me something, and for some reason at some point I must have said, yes, you can contact me through the phone, and I just never pick up, and they continue, and I feel very bad for them. Haha, I don't feel bad for them, but they will never contact me. It will never be possible to contact me, because only the people that are in this list can call me. Everyone else is going directly to my mailbox. And if then someone is leaving a nice message on my mailbox and asks me to call him or her back, I will sometimes do it. Yeah, so my phone is not disturbing me. It never rings. Yeah, basically, like, it rings when someone that is very important in my day-to-day life is calling me. Yeah, like my immediate family, for example, or someone from my team. But and there are a few close friends, but that's it. Yeah, and of course my garage, they can always call me. Because they're very nice guys. So this should be, everyone should have, should take an hour to set their phone up properly, so it doesn't disturb you from what you're doing. It doesn't put this anxiety in your life that you have to reply to people. And I'm coming back to the activation thing. So if you have all of this set up, obviously you could say, okay, to take the phone into my hand to look at the clock, that's not a big issue. And I would say that's not a big issue. But still, like, the amount of activations that you can see is telling you something about how focused you stay with the things that you're doing. So I would say a good goal would be to be under 10. So 10 sort of maximum activations of the phone per day. Yeah. Check what your activations are. And I think a nice thing can be also to compete with someone in this. I'm against competition with all my heart, but this is a funny competition. Yeah, it's more like a joke competition. Although it's not a joke, it's a serious matter. So take your partner, for example, or a good friend, and every evening you send each other the amount of activations that you have, or every morning the activations of last day, and you try to win. And every time someone won 10 times, I make this up, yeah, I improvise. Every time someone won 10 times, you receive dinner from the other person. The other person makes dinner for you when you have won 10 times. That's a nice game, no? Okay. And then we have then from there we can have tournaments of little activations and so forth. Okay, yeah, phone, definitely we can come back to this a few more times. Definitely important topic, how to deal with this phone shit. Let me know if you have any certain questions about the phones. And I have to say, with communication, there's one thing I'm a bit undecided. So for many years, I really didn't like to call someone, like to speak with someone on the phone, because I found it always so disrupting. If someone would just call me, yeah, I'm doing something and I receive a call, I take the call and I talk with the person. So that's why I put it on Do Not Disturb. So for many years, this is out of my life. This basically doesn't happen, besides the immediate people where it's important that I go on the phone, and where if I don't want this, I just switch the phone off completely, or it's in another room and so on. Yeah, but yeah, if you have 2 young kids, it's good to be reachable at certain times. And also if you work together in a team with other people, it can be important depending on the work that you're doing. But yeah, so for me, it was very important that I don't get disturbed randomly in what I'm doing. So this is why I did this do not disturb thing. And the thought was, okay, people can rather send messages or emails and so on, and then I answer them whenever I find the time, or to be more orderly than that, when I have some time blocked for answering. But the con of this is exactly the same as the pro. Yeah, the pro is that it is asymmetrically in a sense, time-wise. No, someone writes, doesn't get an immediate replay, but the other person replies when the person has time and focus for this. But what you can end up with is many unanswered messages, many open loops. And I think open loops are quite a huge problem. And open loops create also hastiness. Yeah, we have so many open loops nowadays because because maybe of this asymmetric thing that you receive something and then you shall answer. Okay, like you receive a letter from some office, government office, blah 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 blah. Do this, okay. Puts a bit of pressure on you. Okay, I need to answer, blah 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 blah. Yeah, but it would be in that sense easier, no, if there would be just a phone call. Okay, someone has a question to me, yeah, and if he's not here, where I am physically at the moment, he's just calling me, everything is answered, and then that's off the plate. There's no open loop. Obviously, there can be something in the question where, okay, yeah, sorry, I need to think about it. I don't know the answer at the moment. Obviously, this always happens. That's unavoidable. But on the other hand, I think it can be reduced. And I feel that I'm going away from my first thing about this, or from the thing that I did for many years now, of this asymmetry, liking more and more the symmetry of communication. And already for many years I do the Zoom meetings. Yeah, before it was cool, also before Corona happened. Yeah, before that we were always writing people, for example, our online support works, and we were writing, okay, and we have meetings through Zoom, and this is an app, blah blah blah. We always had to explain what Zoom is. No one besides some of the inner circle of communication knew about Zoom. People know Skype, but yeah, we all know that Skype is super shitty. So one reason why I implement the Zoom meetings was also that I realized this asymmetric communication can be problematic. Yeah, it can create many open loops on my end, which makes it also, which means also that people again don't know when they get an answer from me, and it's more clear if there is a certain date where we talk about it, we can talk about everything, and then that's off the plate of both of us. So everything is clear. So this I like very much. I do it for many years. Not all the time in my life I prefer Zoom. There are times where I feel like, okay, I want to go hermit mode now. Yeah, this week I just want to go into asymmetric things because I don't want to have any appointments or something like this. That's quite important for me. Hard to do in a sense, not always easy to manage that. But if I manage to have some days or a week where my appointments are heavily reduced, that's always a great week of working on things, definitely. So symmetric or asymmetric communication, both has pros and cons, and I think everyone needs to see what is applicable for them in their life. But what I definitely like is also, if someone says, hey Josef, I have a few questions, can we talk about it? I say, yeah, let's have a call. And if possible, I try to set it up in my calendar in a way that obviously makes sense. What does it mean that it makes sense? That it's not in the middle of something I work on, or it's maybe a few different calls together, like one after another, or something like this, with enough time for every call. But one very important thing is, if you do something, to stay in the same sort of mode, like to switch from calling, then to writing, and then to thinking, and At least for me, and I think actually everyone is the same. It doesn't work very well. So I try then to do my communication in a chunk. Okay, on Wednesday for this and this time I will communicate with people. Not just one random call basically at 10 o'clock for 15 minutes, but if possible then several things. So I stay in this communication mode, and then I have some hours after for a different mode, and so on and so forth. Let me know what you think about this topic of communication. It's obviously also something that is changing through time. For some time this works well, and then this works well, and so on. And obviously always the people that communicate with each other have to find a good solution for everyone. Some years ago, I asked my mother about how she's taking and organizing her notes, and she said actually she's not taking much notes. And I asked her, but then how do you organize your, like the things you're thinking about, and so on? And she told me, I'm just thinking it through to the end, and then I solve the problem or the thing that I'm working on. And I found this quite an interesting answer. On the one hand, I still think like that for everyone to organize their notes and taking good notes and organizing their knowledge is very important, and we can talk about this here a bit as well. But this is exactly what I meant. Like, if you don't have so many open loops, that's probably taking some hastiness out of your life. You will have better focus. This I'm pretty sure of. And I think also you will make less mistakes. Because also what I notice when I work with wood, when I make something out of wood, and I have some time, like I have one project and then I need to do something else, and maybe the next time I come back to the project is after 2 weeks or 3 weeks. This can happen, that suddenly there's just it doesn't happen for a few weeks that you work on this. But this is quite dangerous for the project, because then you ask yourself, okay, what's the things here again that I need to take care of? What's the possible mistakes and so on? And I always make sure to write quite a few notes about the project that I'm working on, that I realize, okay, here is something that can possibly go wrong, blah, blah. But the best thing is to do a project and to do it. And not to do anything in between. Obviously, it makes sense to take breaks for reflection. Again, 7 times measuring, 1 time cutting with the saw. This is very important, taking the hastiness out, but to stay with the topic and not go away and come back after 3 weeks. I think that's, that makes quite a difference. And sometimes, of course, we have these things that we put on the side, and then maybe we come back like even a few years later. This happens. But it's a good goal to have, to work consistently on one thing and not get interrupted by another thing. But that's a difficult task nowadays, exactly because there are so many requests and things coming in. You open your email inbox, you open your physical mailbox, you look at your phone, then requests from the people that you live with, from your work, and so on, and your own ideas from your head. So requests from yourself or from your physical self or from your mind, all sorts of things that are coming up. I think this is also for me quite a big topic, because I have a lot of ideas about things that I'm interested in, things where I think, this could be something, that could be something, and so on. And to say, okay, no, I'm here, I'm working on this, I'm staying with this, everything is good, everything is good, everything is good. Yeah, I'm staying here, I'm working on this. All right, I finish this first, and then I go to the next thing. Okay, so think about, how you organize communication with other people so that there are not too many open loops. How can you reduce open loops in your life? I think there's something interesting, definitely. How do you set up your phone properly? It's also something very interesting. And the last thing I want to talk about today is the following things: separate execution and planning from each other. So these are two different things. Many times it should be two different things. If they are together, this is called usually improvisation. If you don't plan, but you just go directly, in a sense, this is called improvisation. Would you agree with me on this? Sounds logical for me. Improvisation is good, is important, like the ability to be able to do that. But it can be also very disturbing. So, and you have to find out when to improvise and when to not improvise. Yeah, many times in my life I say, okay, guys, let's just see, let's just start, and then things will evolve. Yeah, and this is very intuitive. You feel, and so on. From a physical perspective, like take this as a picture. When you're climbing, you can sit at the bottom of the rock or the wall that you want to climb, or the tree, and you can plan the climb. And this is something people that are more advanced are usually doing, because they have the needed mental representations of the climbing moves, and they can sit down in front of the route and they can think about it in their head. It's an important advanced skill. And then they can execute it more or less like they thought about. But another thing is to sort of go blindly on site. This is also called to go blindly to the route, not to sit down, but to just start and then try to finish it. And in climbing, both of this has its value. Basically, your ability to on-site a route, so not to plan it before, shows your proficiency, because it's harder to improvise, to decide on the go what will be the next good move. And the other one you could say is smarter. Yeah, maybe less intuitive, but is allowing you to actually do harder routes, because improvising is harder. It means you will not be able to climb at the same level as with planning. And for training, planning is crucial. If you don't plan your training, like most people are doing, and this is why I claim they are actually not really training in a sense, this makes it hard to go somewhere in an orderly fashion. And things happen, but things might also not happen. And like I said already, when we write people training plans and they work with the training plan, then it's all the time is the same. Yes, I never worked so focused on something, and I feel how it makes a huge difference, how I progress very effectively. It's always the same. Yeah, people think they're training. In my opinion, they're not training. There's no direction. There's no planning. There's just sort of execution, but also not great execution because they're missing the planning. The same goes for if I create something, if I work with the wood or with any material or on the computer creating something. It doesn't matter what you create, but first sit down and plan and what you will do, in which order, how, what you want to achieve, what are possible problems, blah, 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 the whole process. And then you make sure everything is there that you need for the execution. And then you execute. And then you have more, in a sense, mental capacity free for the actual execution. And I take movement as an example again, or workout. If I do a workout and I am not planning, I'm improvising the workout. Yeah, okay, I do something. Yeah, and then I think, okay, what do I do next? This. Okay, yeah, that's the next thing. It takes focus off the actual execution of the workout. Yes, I am with my mind at the workout, but still I'm in a sense unfocused for the execution part of the workout, and that can be a block on my progress, on how well I can go into the training. Yeah, because I'm thinking too much about what to do instead of having all my capacity into doing, into execution. And this is why this has to be learned. Proper execution and planning. Okay, and when we talk about this, I want to mention something or thought about the difference between cultures or humans that live in a climate with a harsh winter and cultures without seasons, without a harsh winter. There's one book that I really recommend to read, and I feel I talk about it all the time. In English, it's called, in the original, it's written in English, it's called Don't Sleep, There Are Serpents. And in German, it has a complete different name. It's called Das glücklichste Volk, the most happy, I forgot what is the word for folk, citizens or something. No, not citizens, but whatever, doesn't matter. Yeah, by Daniel Everett. That's the name of the author. Don't Sleep, There Are Serpents. And he is describing his time in the Amazonian rainforest with a tribe called Piraha. And he is basically researching this tribe. Like, he goes there as a Christian missionary and wants them to become Christians. And in order to make them believe in the Christian God, he wants to translate the Bible. So that's the usual thing, that you do if you go to the Amazonian rainforest as a Christian missionary. And then for this, he needs to learn the language, which is already super interesting because the people there, they don't really speak any other language. So they just speak their language, which means you have to learn this language from scrap, which is the hardest way to learn a language. Yeah, if no one hands you a dictionary or translates things for you, yes, this means fish in English, but it's all with pointing on things and blah blah blah. I mean, that's easy, but the moment it becomes more abstract, that's quite more difficult to learn if you learn a language from scratch in this way. But what is very, very interesting is that he's analyzing the language and he's realizing that in this language, everything is immediate. And this also in their culture. Like, these people don't talk about things that happened 1,000 years ago. They talk about the things that are happening today, that happened yesterday. They don't talk much about the future at all. They don't talk about things that they haven't experienced themselves. And there is this interesting part where the author says, or where the author tells them about Jesus, and then they ask him, okay, so yeah, did you meet Jesus? And then he says, no, he was living 2,000 years ago, blah, blah. And he describes how they lose completely interest. They lose all the interest in what he's saying, because for them, an information that comes from someone that hasn't met the person that he's talking about, it is not worth listening to. They are all about this immediacy in their culture and in their language. And what I thought when I read this, I thought, yeah, this is very interesting, and I can understand why the author also calls them the most happiest people. People, this is actually the translation for folk. The happiest people, because they live in this immediacy, in the sense they have no open loops also, or of course they have also some, but not in the way that we have. And one reason why they can live in this immediacy, so that's my thought now, I think. It doesn't matter from whom this thought is, and actually I have no idea from whom the thoughts are that I'm talking about, so I claim nothing, because I'm just a conglomerate of things happening to me and around me, thoughts and actions. Anyway, so what I think is they can live in this immediacy because they live in this rainforest where there are no seasons, and it's very easy for them to get food also. Yeah, he describes how they go into the forest with their bows and they hunt, and they're always successful. Yeah, the forest is full of animals, the river is full of fish, and they have some, I don't really think they farm, maybe they have a little bit of farming going on, but basically the rainforest is, you could say Mother Earth has a lot of food for them immediately ready. Okay, so they have a very immediate life because of this very happy life. Now if you go to the north of Norway, the life can be quite different than this. Yeah, maybe you can, yes, like indeed you can get food in the Norwegian winter in the north, also all the year when you go hunt. Plants can be quite difficult. But there's another thing, there's the cold. And for the cold you need to be prepared. Yeah, you need to have your clothes ready, if possible your shelter and your tools for the winter, and if you're a bit more into planning, also already your firewood and so on. And this puts your thinking away, or that takes their thinking away from the immediacy. You cannot live in a complete immediacy in Norway, because the winter will come, and if you're not ready, you have a problem. This is like the story of the 3 little pigs or piglets. Yeah, these 3 pigs that build a hut. Everyone builds a hut. One out of straw, no? The other one wood, I think. Not sure anymore. And the third one is building out of stone. And the third one takes much more time, and the other ones are laughing about him and don't understand why is he taking so much time and so much effort in building this house out of stone while they are finished already a long time. Then the wolf comes and he just blows the huts from the first 2 pigs away, and then the 2 pigs hide in the house of the third pig with the third pig, where the wolf cannot enter because it's made from stone. So the third pig is obviously very smart because it thinks about the future, what are problems that can happen in the future, realizes, okay, if I put some more effort now, I will benefit in the future, blah, blah, blah. So this is, in that sense, a thinking that I would say arises automatically if you're in a climate where not doing that would mean that you die. And then I was thinking, is that maybe the reason why the north of the world, like the first reason, the start of the whole thing, that the north of the world is richer than the south of the world. This climate thing. There's also winter in places in the south. Yeah, but if you just look at Europe, we know that the countries in the north are richer than the countries in the south by whatever, how it's measured, and who knows if it's in that sense really true. But when you go to the Mediterranean, you see that how things are done differently. And this is why, compared to Norway. And this is why Germans, they love to go to the Mediterranean. They love to go to Italy. It's like they can immediately relax there. It's a complete different feeling there. Yeah, the life. It's like, okay, I'm in paradise. Yeah, I'm here. Of course, it's also because they're on a holiday. Yeah, but holiday in the Mediterranean feels different than holiday in the north of Norway. Okay, it's like, there's this strong connection of Germans to Italy. Yeah, we love to go to Italy. For us, it's like a paradise in that sense. Yeah, so I wonder if it has, if the root of this is in the different climates, and if you are living in Norway, you have to be pick number 3, the smart pick. And if you are in the Amazonian rainforest, you can be the first pig that just builds his hut out of straw, and it works very well. Yeah, they are like the author calls them, these are the most happiest people that I ever met in my life. But their way of living, would it work in the north of Norway? It would probably not work like this. It would probably change. It would probably then include much more thinking about the future. So the thing is that thinking too much about the future takes you out of the now. And I think it's safe to say is that happiness is in the now. And this thinking about the future is often, in a sense, connected with a worry. No? It's not that I think about the future when I'm in the north of Norway in that sense, like, there will be the winter, that's super great. I'm looking so much forward, but okay, there will be the winter coming. I'm worrying about this. I need to prepare. Obviously, when I'm in the winter, I will look very much forward to the summer, but it feels for me a bit like the balance is more towards the worry. So probably being in the now is very powerful in reducing stress, like making life more, in a sense, beautiful for us. And we can talk about it for much longer, but let's just keep it at that. And on the other hand, a lot of what we have nowadays comes from the realization that if we build now our house out of stone, then we can relax after. And the search is for the balance of these two, no? And if we come now back to separating execution and planning from each other, to plan first, like to think about the future, can mean, if it's done correctly, that while executing, so if I think about movement again, if I do my workout then, then I can be in the now. Yeah, I don't have to think about what I'm doing next. I can just look on the plan. Yeah, I don't need to do that. I can be there with the execution of the exercises. Fully there. Okay, enough talking from me. I don't know how long I recorded now, so I will see this when I cut everything together. So this one has not been me just talking without stopping. I actually recorded the first few bits and then had 2 weeks of a break and then recorded the next bits. I'm saying this because it is a bit ironic, because I talked about starting something and finishing something, and with this podcast episode I failed with this. But now I finished it, the recording, and let me know your thoughts. There are many different things that I talked about. Didn't go so deeply in anything of this, I think, but I think there are quite a few practical things that I talked about, and that's important for me also. Yeah, I want to talk with you about the underlying philosophy of this idea of Lebenspraxis, but it should be also things here that have a direct practical application. So don't forget, separate execution and planning from each other. Not always, but very often it makes sense. Thank you for listening to this podcast. If you like it, feel very, very invited to send it to someone. As I have talked about in my video, Destroying the Algorithm, die Zerstören des Algorithmus, I think this is the most powerful way that we have to share things, to do it by ourselves, to say to someone else, hey, this is a good thing, listen to this, instead of letting big tech companies dictate what we are looking at, what we're watching, and so on and so forth. So if you like it, please recommend it to other people. That would be very, very helpful to spread the word about this stuff. Last but not least, there is recently I published one new resource, one thing that helps people for their practice. It's German only, but it's a course about it's an introduction course into movement that is 40 sessions that are each 15 minutes long. And this was created by Jonathan Schmid and me together. Jonathan is a very good friend of mine, and we work together since a few years on the topic of movement. And this course has a very low bar, means it is very clear, slowly progressing in difficulty, and we made it especially for the people that felt like the other stuff available maybe is not for me, or it seems a bit too high level or complex, and so on. This is really something for everyone. There are no excuses now anymore. Also, the price we put in a way that it can be afforded by anyone. So if you want to start your movement journey, this is definitely a very good resource. And if you know someone that you want to help to move better, improve their health, all this stuff, all this myriads of positive effects from starting to move more, and they speak German, then you can send them this course. All right.